In the small town of Meadowbrook, life moved slowly, yet every individual carried stories of love, loss, and lessons learned the hard way. It was a town where everyone knew everyone, and yet each person walked their own private path, often colliding with the lives of others in ways they couldn't foresee. The old cobblestone streets, lined with sycamore trees, had witnessed decades of quiet joys and secret sorrows, of whispered confessions and loud arguments, of unspoken kindness and unrecognized betrayals. At the heart of Meadowbrook lived Eleanor, an elderly woman who had spent her youth teaching at the local school. She was known for her wisdom, her calm demeanor, and the uncanny ability to sense when someone was struggling. People often sought her advice, though few realized that Eleanor's own life had been a tapestry of mistakes and hard-won truths. She remembered when her own daughter, Lily, had been tempted by a world far beyond the town's boundaries, a world of fleeting pleasures and dangerous choices. Eleanor had watched with a mixture of fear and hope as Lily navigated that world, learning lessons that sometimes came with a price too heavy to bear. Meanwhile, across town, a young man named Marcus was at the peak of his career in a bustling city office. Ambitious, clever, and charming, he believed that success was measured by wealth and recognition. Yet, behind the polished exterior was a hollow feeling that nothing he accomplished truly satisfied. Marcus had a habit of overlooking the people who truly cared about him, the friends who had supported him when he had nothing, and the family who had sacrificed quietly so he could pursue his dreams. One day, an unexpected event forced Marcus to return to Meadowbrook. A letter from his childhood friend, Daniel, had arrived, urging him to visit. Daniel was now a social worker in the town, dedicated to helping families in crisis. And he had seen something in Marcus's life that needed correcting before it was too late. Not far from Marcus's childhood home, a young couple, Sophia and Adrian, faced a different set of challenges. Their love had blossomed in the innocence of youth, but adulthood brought with it harsh realities, financial pressure, family expectations, and lingering insecurities. Sophia's father, Mr. Caldwell, a stern yet loving man, believed that respect and integrity were more valuable than fleeting happiness. Adrian, ambitious but insecure, often struggled to balance his desire to prove himself with the moral compass that Sophia's father expected him to follow. The couple's relationship teetered between warmth and tension, revealing the delicate threads that bind human connections. One day, a local shopkeeper named Ravi, who had seen the town change over decades, witnessed a young boy stealing bread from his store. Rather than punish him immediately, Ravi invited the boy, named Eli, into his home, offering him food and a place to sleep. Eli had grown up in neglect, learning that survival often meant bending the rules. Yet Ravi's kindness planted a seed in him, a seed of empathy, honesty, and understanding of the world beyond mere survival. This small act of compassion would later ripple through the town in ways no one could predict, teaching the lesson that what goes around often comes back in unexpected forms. Meanwhile, Eleanor's granddaughter, Clara, faced her own crossroads. Bright, curious, and impatient with the slow pace of life in Meadowbrook, she dreamed of leaving for the city, chasing fame and excitement. Yet, she also admired her grandmother's quiet strength and often found herself in moments of reflection, wondering if the fast life she yearned for would bring fulfillment or emptiness. Eleanor, noticing Clara's restlessness, shared stories of her own youth, of loves lost and regained, of friendships tested, of mistakes that had shaped her into the person she had become. Life, Eleanor would say, is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning from them, and more importantly, about treating others with care along the way. As the seasons changed, the lives of Meadowbrook's residents began to intersect in ways subtle yet profound. Marcus, returning to his hometown, found himself confronting old friendships and old rivalries. He encountered Daniel, who reminded him of the boy he used to be, the dreams he once had, and the promises he had made to those who mattered. Sophia and Adrian faced a trial when Adrian's ambition led him to a decision that risked not only his career, but also the trust between him and Sophia. Eli, under Ravi's guidance, took his first steps toward responsibility, discovering that choices define character more than circumstance ever could. And Clara, inspired by the stories of her grandmother, began to question what it truly meant to grow up. Was it the pursuit of ambition or the cultivation of kindness, respect, and integrity? In the backdrop of these intertwining lives, Meadowbrook itself seemed alive, as if the town held a memory of every choice ever made on its streets. The old oak tree in the center of town had been the silent witness to countless love stories, betrayals, reconciliations, and lessons learned. Beneath its branches, friends reunited after years of misunderstanding. Lovers reconciled after moments of doubt, and individuals discovered truths about themselves that they had long ignored. One particular evening, a storm rolled over Meadowbrook, heavy with wind and rain. Eleanor stood by her window, watching the rain streak the streets, reflecting on the unpredictable nature of life. The world, she whispered to herself, is a mirror of our actions. We give kindness, we receive it. We sow deceit, it finds its way back to us. Karma is not punishment. It is the teacher, and we are all students. Marcus, walking back through the streets after a long day of reflection, felt a twinge of guilt for choices made in pursuit of personal gain. He remembered the friends he had abandoned, the family he had neglected, and the love he had taken for granted. In that moment, he realized that success meant nothing without the bonds of trust, respect, and empathy. Sophia, facing Adrian's confession of a poor choice motivated by fear and pride, understood that love was not just passion, but forgiveness, patience, and shared values. Eli, sitting by the fire at Ravi's home, felt a new sense of purpose. He had made a choice to change, and for the first time, he understood that life offered second chances to those willing to learn. By the time the storm passed, Meadowbrook was quiet again, yet the echoes of life's lessons lingered. People emerged from their homes, brushing off the rain, but carrying with them insights into themselves and their relationships. The threads of fate had shifted slightly, weaving new patterns of understanding, empathy, and responsibility. Eleanor smiled softly, knowing that while life was often unpredictable, the fundamental truths remained. Respect your elders, cherish your family, honor your friends, act with integrity, and understand that every action has consequences. And so, the town of Meadowbrook continued its quiet rhythm, each person learning, growing, and moving forward, carrying with them the subtle yet profound lessons of life, love, and the intricate dance of karma. The days after the storm brought a sense of renewal to Meadowbrook, but also a stirring of tension. Life, Eleanor knew, rarely offered clarity without challenge. It was in these moments of uncertainty that true lessons revealed themselves, shaping hearts and minds in subtle yet profound ways. Marcus, though deeply affected by his reflections, faced a dilemma that tested the sincerity of his realizations. His childhood friend Daniel invited him to volunteer at the town's community center, which helped struggling families, the elderly, and neglected children. Marcus initially hesitated. City life had taught him to value his time in terms of productivity and profit, but something in Daniel's gentle insistence stirred a long-forgotten compassion. As Marcus walked into the center on his first day, he was confronted with the stark realities of lives unlike his own. A young mother juggling multiple jobs to feed her children, an elderly man mourning the loss of his only son, a teenage girl afraid to speak up in school because of constant bullying. These encounters were humbling, forcing Marcus to confront not just the mistakes of his past, but the fragility and resilience of human life. Sophia and Adrian faced a crossroads of their own. Adrian's ambition, previously seen as a strength, had led him to invest in a business deal that now teetered on the edge of collapse. His pride and fear of failure had caused him to make questionable choices, but Sophia's unwavering belief in honesty and responsibility became the anchor he desperately needed. One evening, as the couple sat beneath the old oak tree at the center of town, Sophia said quietly, "We cannot control everything, Adrian, but we can control how we respond to our mistakes. That is where our strength lies." Her words were not just a comfort, they were a challenge. A call to act with integrity even when it seemed the easier path was to evade accountability. Meanwhile, Eli, guided by Ravi's mentorship, faced a more personal test. A group of older boys in town, known for their troublemaking, sought to pull him into petty thefts and vandalism. The temptation was strong, a promise of quick acceptance and fleeting thrills, but Eli remembered Ravi's lessons. Actions define character, not circumstance. Choosing courage over conformity, Eli refused to join them, standing firm even when mocked and pushed. This simple act of integrity earned him not only Ravi's pride, but also the respect of peers who had doubted his resolve. It was a small victory, yet one that would echo throughout Eli's life, reinforcing the idea that morality is often a quiet but powerful force. Clara, inspired by her grandmother Eleanor's stories, decided to confront her own restlessness. She ventured into the woods surrounding Meadowbrook, seeking solitude and reflection. There, amidst the rustling leaves and the whisper of the wind, she meditated on her desires and fears. The forest, silent yet alive, offered clarity. Ambition without purpose is hollow. Freedom without responsibility is dangerous. And true growth comes from understanding oneself and one's impact on others. When she returned to town, Clara approached her grandmother and said, "I want to see the world, grandmother, but I also want to carry kindness with me wherever I go." Eleanor, smiling with quiet approval, knew that Clara had begun her first steps toward wisdom. Across Meadowbrook, other stories unfolded quietly, but no less profoundly. Mrs. Hargrove, a widow who had long kept to herself, found companionship in Thomas, a retired teacher who shared her love of poetry and gardening. Their friendship blossomed slowly, teaching the town's younger residents that connection, understanding, and respect transcend age. Nearby, a local carpenter named Henry struggled with resentment toward his brother, who had achieved wealth and status through what Henry considered opportunistic means. Through a chance encounter with Eleanor and Daniel, Henry realized that harboring bitterness was only prolonging his own suffering. Forgiveness, though difficult, was a gift he could give himself, freeing him to live more fully in the midst of these personal journeys. Meadowbrook itself seemed to respond, almost as if the town was a living organism, absorbing and reflecting the choices of its inhabitants. The market square became a place of stories. Small gestures of kindness, reconciliations, and acts of courage happened daily, unnoticed by many, yet each carrying ripple effects that would shape future events. One afternoon, Marcus helped repair a dilapidated playground with the children of the town. Sophia and Adrian contributed by organizing a charity event to help local families. Eli began tutoring younger children, passing on not just knowledge but the moral lessons he had learned. Clara volunteered to teach painting and creative writing, encouraging self-expression and empathy. These acts, simple yet meaningful, illustrated the power of collective morality and responsibility. However, life, Eleanor knew, rarely allowed lessons to unfold without confrontation. One evening, the town was shaken when news arrived that a fire had broken out in a nearby barn, threatening not only property but also the lives of several animals. The cause was uncertain, but rumors quickly spread, some accusing negligence, others pointing to sabotage. In the chaos, Marcus, Sophia, Adrian, Eli, and Clara all converged, their paths crossing in a tangible illustration of community and shared responsibility. They worked together tirelessly, moving animals to safety, extinguishing flames, and calming panicked neighbors. The fire, though frightening, became a crucible, revealing character, courage, and the importance of unity. Through this ordeal, Marcus confronted an old acquaintance, someone he had wronged years ago in pursuit of success. The confrontation was uncomfortable, filled with tension, but ultimately it became a moment of reconciliation. Marcus apologized sincerely, acknowledging not only past mistakes but also the ongoing responsibility to act with integrity. This act of humility, witnessed by others, reinforced the lesson that true success is measured not in wealth or recognition, but in the ability to own one's actions and make amends. Sophia and Adrian, too, emerged from the fire with a strengthened bond. Adrian admitted his fears and mistakes openly, and Sophia responded not with judgment, but with guidance, understanding, and encouragement. Their love evolved from a fragile, passionate connection into a partnership built on mutual respect, trust, and shared values. It was a quiet transformation, yet profound in its implications. Relationships thrive not on perfection, but on honesty, patience, and commitment to growth. Eli, inspired by the courage he witnessed, began to dream bigger than survival or acceptance. He realized that life offered opportunities not just to endure, but to lead, to teach, and to create positive change. Under Ravi's mentorship, he began organizing small community projects, encouraging younger children to engage in acts of kindness and responsibility. His story, simple yet inspiring, reminded everyone that even the smallest individuals can make significant contributions when guided by moral clarity. Clara, observing the unfolding events, learned a crucial lesson about action versus intention. Dreams, she realized, were meaningless without effort and purpose. The desire to see the world, to make an impact, or to achieve personal goals must be balanced with responsibility, empathy, and understanding. Her determination crystallized into a plan. She would pursue her ambitions, but never at the expense of others or her own integrity. By the time the flames had been extinguished and the barn secured, Meadowbrook had witnessed yet another subtle but profound lesson in karma, responsibility, and interconnectedness. Each person involved walked away changed, carrying not just memories of fear and courage, but a renewed sense of purpose and understanding. Eleanor, watching from her window, reflected once more on the rhythms of life, how every choice, small or large, sends ripples through the lives of others, how love, respect, and integrity are as vital as courage and ambition, and how the threads of fate, though invisible, are always being woven through action and consequence. As night fell over Meadowbrook, the town settled into a reflective quiet. The fire had caused damage, but it had also illuminated truths. Marcus was beginning to understand that success without morality is hollow. Sophia and Adrian realized that love grows stronger when nurtured with honesty. Eli discovered that integrity often requires courage. Clara learned that ambition must be tempered with responsibility. And the town itself, a living witness to these unfolding stories, seemed to hold the promise of growth, redemption, and hope. The lessons of Meadowbrook, Eleanor knew, were far from over. Life would continue to challenge, surprise, and teach, weaving new stories of karma, kindness, betrayal, love, and forgiveness. But for now, the residents understood a simple truth. Every action matters, every choice has a consequence, and the path to wisdom is paved with both struggle and reflection. As spring unfolded in Meadowbrook, the town seemed to breathe with quiet anticipation. The days grew longer, the trees greener, and the air carried the scent of new beginnings. But beneath this tranquil surface, lives continued to evolve, carrying the weight of past choices and the promise of future growth. The experiences of the previous months had left lasting imprints, shaping hearts, testing bonds, and guiding souls toward wisdom. Marcus, now fully engaged in the community center, had discovered a deeper sense of purpose. The children he tutored, the elderly he assisted, and the families he supported had transformed his understanding of success. One afternoon, while helping a young boy rebuild a treehouse destroyed by the winter storms, Marcus realized that the value of his actions lay not in recognition, but in the lasting impact on those around him. He had come to understand Eleanor's words. Life is not merely the accumulation of wealth or accolades. It is the kindness we give, the lessons we learn, and the respect we earn from those we touch. Marcus reflected on his previous ambition-driven life and felt gratitude for the second chance he had been given to live with integrity. Sophia and Adrian's relationship continued to grow stronger. They learned that true love required more than passion. It required patience, communication, and humility. When Adrian faced a professional setback that could have destabilized their finances, Sophia's unwavering support and pragmatic guidance allowed him to navigate the challenge with honesty and resilience. Together, they organized a small cooperative for local artisans, empowering struggling craftspeople and creating a community initiative that reflected their shared values. Their partnership became an example to others that relationships thrive, not on convenience, but on shared responsibility and moral commitment. Eli's journey also progressed, marked by steady personal growth. With Ravi's mentorship, he started a youth mentorship program, teaching younger children not just academic lessons, but also the importance of integrity, empathy, and accountability. His former peers, Those who had once mocked his resolve began to respect his leadership and moral courage. Eli had become a living embodiment of the idea that what is sown in kindness and discipline yields enduring influence. His story reminded the town that every small act of integrity has a ripple effect, touching lives far beyond the immediate moment. Clara's ambitions took her beyond Meadowbrook, but with a mindful heart. She secured a scholarship to a prestigious art academy in the city, yet her departure was marked by thoughtful preparation and reflection. She carried with her Eleanor's teachings the understanding that personal dreams are valuable, but they must be pursued without neglecting responsibility, empathy, or respect for others. Before leaving, Clara organized a local art exhibition, inviting children, adults, and elderly residents to share their stories through visual expression. The exhibition became a celebration of life's lessons, a testament to the power of creativity, and a bridge connecting generations through shared wisdom. Meanwhile, Meadowbrook itself continued to serve as a living classroom. The town's residents, once caught up in petty rivalries or personal ambitions, gradually embraced a collective consciousness of care and accountability. Mrs. Hargrove and Thomas's quiet companionship inspired neighbors to nurture relationships across generations, while Henry's decision to forgive his brother led to renewed family bonds and cooperation in business ventures. The town, in essence, reflected a moral ecosystem where every individual's choices influence the community's overall well-being. Yet, life is never without challenges, and the ultimate lessons often arrive in unexpected forms. One evening, news arrived that a nearby forest, cherished by Meadowbrook's children for generations, was threatened by illegal logging. Panic spread quickly among the town's residents, but rather than succumbing to despair, they mobilized collectively. Marcus coordinated volunteers to monitor the area. Sophia and Adrian led fundraising efforts to protect the land. Eli organized youth patrols and educational workshops about environmental stewardship, and Clara documented the efforts through art to raise awareness beyond the town. This crisis became a crucible, testing the town's unity, resilience, and adherence to ethical principles. During the effort, an old acquaintance of Marcus, someone he had previously wronged in pursuit of personal gain, appeared to help. Their collaboration was awkward at first, colored by lingering resentment, but the shared purpose gradually dissolved tension. Marcus apologized for past actions, expressing genuine remorse, and the other person forgave, acknowledging the sincerity of his transformation. This moment crystallized a profound lesson. Karma is not simply about punishment or reward. It is a reflection of choices, requiring acknowledgement, responsibility, and sometimes reconciliation to achieve balance. As the forest was saved and the town celebrated its collective victory, each character experienced a moment of revelation. Sophia and Adrian realized that love is strengthened not by absence of hardship, but by facing challenges together with integrity. Eli discovered that true leadership comes from humility, empathy, and moral courage, not dominance or recognition. Clara understood that ambition, when guided by conscience, becomes a force for meaningful change. Marcus embraced the truth that personal growth is inseparable from the positive impact on others. Eleanor, observing all this from her home, felt a quiet satisfaction. Her life's work, raising generations who valued kindness, integrity, and responsibility, had come to fruition in ways both subtle and profound. Even seemingly minor figures in the town experienced transformation. Ravi, who had always quietly influenced young lives, witnessed Eli and the youth he had mentored blossom into responsible, compassionate individuals. Mrs. Hargrove and Thomas's gentle love inspired neighboring families to foster intergenerational connections. Henry's renewed relationship with his brother demonstrated the liberating power of forgiveness. Each story, while unique, contributed to the larger tapestry of Meadowbrook, a living narrative of karma, morality, and the interconnectedness of human lives. Through these intertwined lives, Meadowbrook illustrated a simple yet profound truth. Every action carries consequences, every choice matters, and life's greatest lessons are often learned through the combination of trial, reflection, and compassion. The town had become a microcosm of the larger world, showing that integrity, kindness, empathy, and accountability are not abstract ideals, but practical forces that shape reality. In the quiet evenings that followed, Eleanor would sit beneath the oak tree, sharing stories with Clara, the children, and anyone who sought her wisdom. She spoke of life's twists and turns, of betrayal and forgiveness, of ambition and humility, and of the delicate balance of karma. Her words resonated not as lectures, but as lived experience, teaching that morality is a continuous practice, that love requires courage and patience, and that true success is measured not by what one achieves alone, but by the positive imprint left on the lives of others. As the town continued its rhythm, markets bustling, children playing, families gathering, Meadowbrook had become a place where lessons of the heart and mind converged. The residents understood that while life would continue to present trials, choices guided by compassion, integrity, and respect would lead not only to personal fulfillment, but also to the well-being of the community. The moral of their collective journey was clear. Kindness begets kindness, honesty fosters trust, forgiveness restores balance, and every action, no matter how small, ripples through time, shaping the present and the future. In the final analysis, Meadowbrook was more than a town. It was a living lesson in life, a testament to the enduring power of moral courage, empathy, and love. Each person's story, woven together, created a rich tapestry of human experience, demonstrating that what goes around truly comes around, and that through mindful, compassionate choices, individuals have the power to change not only their own lives, but also the world around them. And so, life in Meadowbrook continued, a quiet, resilient dance of lessons learned and shared, of love cultivated, mistakes forgiven, and kindness returned. The residents carried these truths forward, understanding that while the future remained uncertain, the principles of integrity, compassion, and respect would forever guide them, and that the threads of karma, gently and inevitably, would weave the fabric of their shared destiny.